Hola chicos. En este video vamos a aprender sobre O to UE stem changing verbs. Very similar to E to IE stem changing verbs. The only difference is the O changes to a UE, and we're going to learn how to do that today. Make sure you're filling out your guided notes so you can remember what each verb means in English, and also have a guide to help you conjugate these later on. Okay, let's get started. So here are the verbs that we're going to work with that have an O to UE stem change. There are more out there. These are the ones that we're learning in class. Almorzar, to eat lunch. Dormir, to sleep. Poder, to be able to or to can. Volver, to return. And encontrar, to find. Now, the O in the middle will change to a UE. I've highlighted that O for you to see. It will never be the O on the end. It will always be the O right in the middle of the verb. So you can make note of this. Remember that the O changes to a UE in every form but nosotros, or the we form. Now let's go over some examples, but first, let's cover the steps one more time. We'll go a little quicker. So, step 1, take off the AR, ER, IR ending, and then pick out your new ending from the verb chart based on who we're talking about. So if we're talking about myself, so if I'm saying I do something, so like I sleep, I find, we're going to use the yo ending, right? If I'm talking about she sleeps or she eats lunch, we're going to use the ea ending. Now you take this ending and you stick it on the verb. And then you go into the middle of the verb and you change the O to a UE, but you don't do it for nosotros. Here are our present tense verb charts for you. I've noticed that a lot of us have trouble remembering, so I've included them one more time so that way you guys can remember them, and we'll just keep trying to memorize these endings. So here are your AR verb endings and your ER/IR verb endings, and I'm making a boot for you because stem changing verbs are considered boot verbs. We can even draw some little laces on there because when you highlight the verbs, the forms of the verbs that change, it's the yo to, el, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes endings, and we leave out nosotros. So it ends up making a little boot in the chart of the forms that change. Let's look at some examples. So let's start with encontrar. Remember our step 1, we're going to take off the AR ending. Our subject here is going to be to, so you find. So we look at our AR chart, right? Because it's an AR verb, I find the to ending, which is the as, and it's in our boot, which means that we do the stem change. So let's first add this ending to the end of our verb. And here's my ending, right? The as ending goes on the end. And then I look and I say, oh my gosh, I have to take the O, right? Because it's in the boot and I have to change it to a UE. So what we end up getting is encuentras, or you find, tú encuentras. Okay, next example, let's do poder, and let's make it so I can. So yo is my subject. I'm going to take off the ER of poder, and poder is an ER verb. Here's my yo ending. I get poto. Is that right? No, because I have to take the O in the middle, not this O, not this O. It's this O here. And I have to change it to a UE. So I erase it, and I go and I change it to a UE. So I get yo puedo. That's correct. I can, or I am able to. Yo puedo. Last one, we're going to do dormir. And in this case, our subject, let's do nosotros, so we sleep. We're going to follow the same steps. We're going to take off the IR. Our nosotros ending for IR verbs is an imos. So remember, ER is hemos, IR, imos. So I get dormimos. And do we do the stem change for the we form or the nosotros form? Well, remember, this is a boot verb, right? Because it's a stem changing verb. And is nosotros in my boot? No. So we leave it as is. Dormimos. All right, that's some practice for you guys. I hope that this is starting to make sense. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you have any questions. Adios.